You know, it's weird how many people say they want lifetime support until it's actually offered. A few months back, we reviewed the AutoFix D1 Lite, and apparently y'all had thoughts. Over 400,000 views worth of thoughts, and whether you called it a killer budget scanner or accused us of being paid shills, one comment kept coming back: but does it have lifetime updates? So today, we're back and we're going to answer that question, because right here we've got this ThinkScan 69 8BT, a scanner that claims bi-directional controls, dealer level functions, and yes, lifetime free updates. But does that actually matter? Or is it just another free forever gimmick? We'll open it up, put it through its paces, and see whether it's worthy or just another tool you'll outgrow in 6 months. But if nothing else, I'll give you a mechanic's perspective, because let's be honest, specs don't mean much if you don't speak 4 dialects of scan tool. And real quick, if you like honest reviews from a shop that doesn't get paid to say nice things, hit that subscribe button. It's the only kickback that we'll actually ask for. Now, a few months back, we saw an offer pop up in our email to try out a scanner free of charge, and if we liked it, we would do a 3 to 5 minute video on it. Now, we're still new to this whole YouTube advertising game, and I'm not sure how far I really want to push a small shop advertising stuff, because at the end of the day, the shop's the most important thing to me, and hawking items that I might not be in line with isn't really what I'm about. But just maybe the ThinkScan will be the new one that I reach for. All right, so the ThinkCar, ThinkScan, these names are getting pretty crazy, but let's open it up and see what actually comes in there. Pretty, almost camera-esque case carrying. Honestly, what I do with these cases is I stack them up in the corner of a shop and never use them again for their intended purposes. Now, I do notice that this tablet is a little thicker than the AutoFix, which that's not a bad thing necessarily. It does feel a tiny bit more premium, I'd say. Just thicker. I don't like the thinness on this side. It feels like I'd be chipping that up, or maybe it'd take one too many impacts too close to the glass, but all in all, it does feel fairly robust. Has it got any power on it? Oh, it is powering up. And let's keep going here as this thing powers up. A nice little kickstand here, check that out. And then there's a feature I saw in there that I really thought was pretty cool. Let's see if it works. This is the dongle, which communicates OBD2 with the car. Oh, look at that. Magnetic. So now I can lose this in style. That's pretty cool. We'll set that up while it loads up there. This appears to be a BMW Ethernet adapter, which that'd be an odd choice to come with. I shouldn't say odd, but you know, they could include maybe a Chrysler cable or something else along those lines. Kind of tells me their BMW support should be pretty good. A charger, so this is 2.5 amps output, which means that should be pretty typical. I've just tried to charge these with phone chargers, and if it's anything less than that, it won't kick up. I don't know if that's true of this one, but usually these things are specific to the tablet and specific in a way that they need enough juice, if that makes sense. And then this appears to be a USB to Ethernet, and I've got an Ethernet, so possibly if you needed to hook up to the internet to maybe update this thing. Sometimes the update packs have fairly big file sizes, so that might make it a little faster. But what I really want to see is, how does this interface with the cars? So we got a few cars, we're going to test it out. What we're going to start with is, I've got a bit of a control. If you remember from the last video with the AutoFix D1 Pro, I'd used my shop GX470 and scanned it. Admittedly, there wasn't a whole lot that the AutoFix could actually access, which is kind of common in even the Autel or any other tools I've used. I haven't had a great, really Toyota-centric tool that's blown me away, so I'm kind of expecting more of the same. Let's start off with the auto search function. Now, hopefully This should identify the car via the VIN number, the year, the make and model. And there we go, 2006 GX470. Pretty much started reading before I was done plugging it in, which, respect. Gonna do 16 pin, just because I know how these interfaces are typically set up. And we're just selecting my car. Now, anytime you're dealing with a mechanic's car, you can always expect some lights being on. But let's talk about the health report, which I'm assuming is the basically the complete scan of the vehicle. It's going to try to ping all the available modules that this unit can talk to, and then probably display those faults. So let's see how that little feature works out. Again, this thing feels pretty speedy. A little bit faster than the AutoFix. We're pulling up faults in a few places, which is okay. I kind of know what's going on. I've got a wheel speed sensor I'm going to need to take care of, and then I've got my KDSS, which is the stabilizer bar system on this. Yeah, this report, pretty handy. And what I want to know is, can I go into the individual module from this window? Because some of the tablets, you can't really do that. You got to back out and go in system selection or another way. But, oh yeah, it looks like I can. Let's read the faults. And this is just going to give me a little bit more data, maybe some freeze frame, which is going to tell me what it saw when the fault occurred. Seems like it's locking up here. Oh, there it goes. This seems a little bit slow. Now, what I do like about this tablet over the AutoFix is this little guy. Not only does it act as a stand, but what I like to do with it is typically I'll hook it over. Oh, it's too small to do that. Well, I guess I can kind of do that. I like to hook it over the steering wheel when I'm sitting here so I can poke away at it, but hey, look at that. The freeze frame data finally popped up. That took a little bit too long. I'm going to try it one more time to see. But basically, this is just giving me some of the data it saw when the problem happened last time, which got 2 pages of it, 0.8 miles an hour, steering angle, the rate of the yaw sensor. And this is weird how it goes down pages. You just kind of swipe up and then it moves to the second page, which you think it would be just further down, but that's unique, I suppose. Special functions, what can we do here? Sensor adjustment in the KDSS. I suppose this would be when you're done and you want to calibrate the thing that you've just installed. You can go in there and probably set that up, so that's very handy. Okay, so we can watch wheel speed, steering angle, the accumulator sensor value, and the accumulator valve, what's going on there. So that's pretty handy when it comes to diagnostics. Let's check these 4 and just see what it says. So both those valves are off. On the upside, I've got 402 PSI. On the downside, I've got 0. I'm not entirely sure if with the fault in there, if that's reading the correct value, but looks like I can make a report here too and save that. That might be good if you're trying to get the data off and take a look at it later on, or if you're a shop that wants to view that sort of thing. And then the tire pressure, I've got bigger wheels and tires on here, so I haven't installed the tire pressure sensors. Okay, so this is like your interior functions, illuminated entry when you're getting into the car, what do you want lit up? Wireless door locks, when you click the key lock, what does it do? Door lock when you drive away, does it lock? Does it unlock when you park? That sort of thing. Yeah, a few different options in here. Tilt and telescope. That being said, this is pretty typical. This is what I see on all the other scan tools, all the features on the older Toyota, Lexus products. What might be interesting is to see if these things can encode a new immobilizer key, but I don't have a car here with the key or not. I've heard that some of the cheaper scan tools can actually do that sort of stuff, and what I read in the features is that it could do some Toyota keys, but I won't be able to try that ourselves to see if that happens, but it is something they say they can do. So, but all in all, I'd say that this is pretty run-of-the-mill for at least the Toyota Lexus products. All right, so let's talk coding and programming. And I've got a car in here. You guys have seen us do something like it before. We did a video on the Lamborghini lithium-ion 2 AGM battery swap, and I have more or less the same chassis here to do the swap on. And what I want to know is, will this thing be able to do the coding on it? Now, I suspect that it might be able to. I've heard that the Autel unit can do it. I've admittedly never tried it. I've only actually done it on the Porsche, Lambo, or the Audi, Volkswagen software, so I've never thought to even look for it as an option, but I heard the Autel stuff could do it. Haven't tried it, but Does this have the same function in there? Let's find out. Let me just refresh you guys on what we're doing. Basically, these batteries are expensive. There is a long wait time. They are lighter, but they do have problems charging. They cause all sorts of issues, dead cars, no starts, things along those nature, because they have that little module in the top up here. When you switch it to AGM, a traditional absorbed glass mat battery, it gets rid of all that. You code out that information and it goes to basically a traditional battery. You have to make a few changes, add some wires, but now we have to tell the car that it has the battery, or this message pops up on the dash. That's funny, the beep that it made kind of sounded like the top-down unit. All right, now I could go into each module, but really I want to try to get this done quickly. I want to check out special function because that's where I'd have a feeling it would be. And battery change. All right, so I know that that battery is an 80-hour amp battery. Let's see, technology, AGM. It is off the dash. That was awfully fast, impressively fast. It's not popping up right now. That's a good sign. It just happened so fast, I have a hard time believing. You guys saw me, I clicked it, it was there, and it was just cycled the key on and off. Dang, that worked. All right, well, so far, so good. This thing will code a battery on the Porsche, Volkswagen, Audi, Lambo. Maybe not Lambo, you'll have to check for that, but I at least know that it can do the battery swap. All right, so I already expect newer tablet-based scanners to be able to do the latest and greatest cars, but what about older stuff? Now, I've got a car to try that out on that you guys might be familiar with. It's Alex from Legit Street Cars, Ford SVT Lightning, a little bit older. I'm interested to see what it'll interface with on something older like this. Let's plug it in and poke around. What I do like is that it did not ask me to enter in any email information, so feels like it's not data harvesting. And I believe we're gonna wanna do a health report. From what I was reading, health report goes through all the available modules, finds faults in each of them. 6 systems found, 7 DTCs, battery voltage low, safety belt circuit fault, readiness incomplete, battery voltage low. A lot of battery voltage faults. I'd say these are more or less garbage. Typical Ford layout for either the key on, engine off, self-test, retrieve continuously monitored DTCs, actuation test and special functions. That's where I want to go. Actuation. What can we actuate? Loads up pretty quick for an older vehicle. It looks like we can set the percentage on the evap canister, the vent valve, turn the fuel pump on and off. There's a lot of great data in here that would really help you. Look at that. Is that right? 176? Are those all in order? Yeah, looks like there's 176 different PIDs in here that you could watch to help you better diagnose the car. I'd say that's pretty handy. Pretty typical though on a lot of the other scan tools. I'd expect to see this on a few of the other things, but knowing that this does the older cars as well is what I wanted to see. So I'm satisfied with this older car. I think it does a fair amount, but what about some other type of cars? All right, now I mentioned to you guys that I was most excited when I saw in the vehicle list that Aston Martin was covered. And let's see if it'll pull up the car. We are hooked in. And look at that, we are pulling up some modules. All right, so that's a little bit of a bummer. It only pulled up 2 modules, although this is very helpful. We just have the engine management module and the TCM, the transmission control module. I haven't tried updating this thing yet, so maybe there's an update out there that if I update it, it'll be able to read the 2020. I'm not sure about that. All in all, I'm pretty excited. It did pull the car up, it did read it, it did go in here, but I was expecting to see a few more body modules. It looks like it does a lot of older Astons before 2018, and we get a lot of those in here, so I'm still excited about using it. I'm still happy that we have something that can communicate with a few more of those modules that we didn't have access to in the past. But with that said, it doesn't do everything. All right, so I already told you guys, I think this thing has some pretty good BMW capabilities because of the included cord. What I'm gonna do is just go through and see what BMW-centric functions this thing actually has. So let's crack right into it and do a Short test. All right, that seems surprisingly quick. And more or less, this looks the way I'd expect a BMW short test to look. Lots of faults in the background, nothing on the dash, but it's always something back there, something to take a look at. Know that it has good scanning capabilities. What about the special functions? Now, what I'm interested in is the coding and programming. So for a lot of people, they want to be able to add features the car may have not necessarily come with later on. And sometimes you could just turn on functions that might not have been available on the car from the get-go without having to install any parts. I'm going to go into retrofit and take a look. So we got a vehicle order change, which kind of gets into a funky area for coding. You have to change the order in which the numbers are, the actual vehicle order code, and that could be sometimes problematic if you don't know what you're changing. But hey, oh, look at this. It tells you the name of the function and the code, which is super helpful, but does it tell you the functions that you could actually add with the names on there? I think that's going to be this available button. Now, the only downside I'm seeing is that it looks like you have to go in via the code, and I don't know if this stuff is necessarily something that you can add. The big thing is you don't just want to start adding and subtracting stuff, because you could potentially mess the car up if the car didn't come with it, and then you throw that code in there and then it's looking for that item. Something bad could happen. So make sure you write down the code before you start. But this does look like it has a pretty capable coding feature if you know what you're doing. So that is a nice plus. Let's take a look at special functions. Oh, look at this. Commonly used special functions. I'll stop there first. Oh, those are some great, easily accessible things that you might want to jump in there and look at. Service reset, reset your oil, brake pad change, pull that electronic parking brake back so you can get at the rear brakes. Battery change, throttle learning, tire pressure reset, injector coding. If you want to switch out your own injectors, you could put the code on there and make sure they are set for the car so it knows what the profile on those injectors are. Suspension level, transmission learning. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Sunroof initialization. And these are the easily accessible ones that are commonly used. This is pretty stacked. Usually you have to go into each module. This is nice. It's giving those areas and you could just kind of look and go, do I need to do that or not? So that might be a little nice if you don't want to go do the short test, go to the module. Maybe you don't know what function the module has or doesn't have, and you can see that you can do it right here from another menu. So I kind of like the way that's set up. So all in all, I'll say this is a pretty decent setup for BMW. So if you've got a BMW, this thing seems to do a fair amount. I'm impressed, especially with the coding and programming section. I'm not sure about programming. I'm not going to try to attempt to program anything, nor would I want to when I have more professional and stable tools. But at least for the coding stuff, this is a big plus. And just being able to get in here, read stuff, I'm sure you can do, look at different variables, just like any other scan tool. So BMW, and I'm sure a lot of times with BMW, Mercedes support is also there. So my guess would be you'd probably have some pretty robust coding in Mercedes, and we already know it can do the Porsche battery swap. So Eurocars, it seems like they got them covered pretty good. All right, so did the ThinkScan surprise me? Well, no. It does a lot of the functions that the AutoFix does, and the AutoFix Lite actually was the one that was more surprising. There was people online picking them up for under $300, and this one has a slightly higher price point, but to be frank, this one does feel a little bit more premium, and the lifetime updates is a nice feature if that worries you out there. However, this one comes with full Autel backing, and I just feel like long-term, Autel has a more vested interest in keeping these things updated. However, it's gonna be time that actually tells if that shakes out or not. Will they continue to update this? Will it continue to have support? I can't answer those questions. I will say this is super capable. It seems pretty durable. It having the features of the magnetic back for the dongle and the flip out stand, definitely pluses for me. I like the fact that this has somewhere that dongle is always gonna attach to, and I'm not gonna lose it as easily. And the battery life has been pretty forgiving. But what do you guys think? What features should these scan tools have? And if anything, What do you think that the scan tools need to be doing here in the future? Are you for lifetime updates, or do you like the fact that some things will continue to have support, but you might have to pay a few bucks? Drop it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. But until next time, stay diagnostic, stay curious, and we'll see you soon.